Hello guys, I'm Super Ron. Welcome back to the channel and we are back on the Caddy build at Auto Shack. As you can see, we are in the paint booth. Lee has been a very busy boy this week. He got all the prep work finished and he has painted it all in this super factory crisp white. He managed to find the original paint code on a little faded sticker on the bulkhead so we could mix up the original factory colour and it looks even better than when it came out of the factory. It looks amazing. Just looking around, still having all that factory sealer around the turrets, and you can't even see all those holes that are welded up. They have disappeared into the bodywork, which is perfect. So let's wheel this out and we can start bolting things back together on the car. And we have just had, perfect timing, our bits drop back from the powder coaters. Just had a little cheeky peek and it looks amazing. So this was all done by Abbey Protective Coating. They do all our powder coating. So look them up if you need some bits done in the area. But let's unwrap these and see what it all looks like. Check them out. Remember how rusty and grotty they were? Look at them now. And I like how they've masked up the threads as well, like I did underneath, to keep them fresh. But that was a grotty mess. And now look at it. And here it is. That's like Christmas morning again, unwrapping everything. But you can see they are looking spanking. So this is all from Abbey Protective Coatings Limited. That's who does all our powder coating, and they know their car stuff as well because they know all the parts that we don't want powder coated, like where the bearings go or where the CVs go on the end. So that saves us a lot of time not having to clean all that out. And they've got all the threads masked up so we don't have to tap all them off, and they get in absolutely everywhere. Intercoolers and radiators aren't the easiest things to do, but as you can see, we are fully covered. They all match. Got the cam belt covers, drive shafts, all the brake parts, so they are looking good. And we've also got the beam all finished, so that's all ready to go on as well. And now that matches all the air suspension stuff in the gloss black, so it's all going to look factory fresh. And I've just been and got all the TA Technics rear arm set up, all the 4 links set up. So you've seen me do this before. So it goes from this to this. And here it is, all back on. So this is the TA Technics kit with the 4 links set up that we fitted to replace the leaf springs. Got all that back in. And that all mounts onto the original leaf spring mount. So it's all a bolt-in kit. It's really nice to put together. We've got a full video on that going in, but that mounts on there and got the 4 links going back, which attaches to these. Then you have your Watts linkage at the end. So we'll set all this up central when the wheels and the hubs are everything in, but that is looking good. So now let's get some of these shiny bits back on the front. These arms already had poly bushes in, so we can get them fitted straight back on, and we've got our ball joint extenders on the end, some new wheel bearings, and we'll get the front end all together as well. Poly bushes back on, and that's the front's all on. This is where it all starts coming together. All the shiny bits can now go on. Got all the poly bushes all back in and on, and also with the poly bushes with air ride, it gives it such smoother travel, because if you got rubber bushes, they tend to bite up as you go round, whereas poly bushes have unlimited travel. Got the struts in, got the top mounts all bolted on. So now it's outside in the workshop, we can have a proper look at the bay as well. As you can see, it looks amazing. All the prep work has paid off because this looks fantastic. Better than when it came out of the factory. This is straight out of the gun finished by Lee as well. You can see it is just like glass. We've done all up in the scuttle's been painted. So even though it's got a cover in the middle, everything is painted and white all down the bottom there. And the chassis legs look amazing. All that hard work was worth it. And this side's all done as well. So we've got this leg on, got the strut on, so the wheel bearings are on their way, then we can put the hubs on. But we can start getting the stuff bolted to the bulkhead. We've got all the brake servo brackets and all the crossover linkage. We've got the steering rack can go on. So this is gonna really come together quick. So let's get all the brake linkage bar and everything put together. We've got these little bits that have bearings in, so we couldn't get them blasted and powder coated, so I'll just clean them up. And with a little bit of scrubbing later, all our bits and pieces are all nice and clean. And just giving them a quick black as well, so they blend in. And all back together and looking fresh. So we've got all the linkage back in, everything's bolted together, all new bolts and washers everywhere. So when the pedal pushes this end, that pushes that linkage, which pushes the servo out through the middle. Another job we've got to do is convert the clutch pedal to hydraulic, because as the Mk1 was cable operated and our new O2A gearbox is more modern and hydraulic operated, you need to convert the pedal end. So luckily, the same company that did the drive-by-wire throttle pedal conversion also make these plates that go on the Mk1 column, and they allow a hydraulic master cylinder to be put on there. So let's have a look at this. So here is their clutch conversion kit. So this is the pre-made bracket with the bolt holes on for the master cylinder there. Comes with everything we need, so it comes with all the banjos to go on here. Comes with this nice conversion fitting to go into the O2A's clutch slave cylinder. And this is actually by Ep.12 as well, just like the mounts. Then that joins onto here. Then we make our own braided line to link the two together. Comes with a little reservoir, with all pipes, even comes with the springs, the clips, everything is here that we need. So here is our clutch pedal, and before it had a cable going to the bulkhead, and that actually ripped through. You saw that. I had to repair the bulkhead and totally flush that off. So quite conveniently, these have a little stop, so we know where the pedal has to rest. So that gives us a good starting point. This goes on here, then we have this going up to the top. So we have to chop this little reinforcement arm off and just leave the main pedal, then that will fit our clevis, and then we can position this where it fits comfortably. Let's make a start on this. So first off, let's lock this little bracket off. And then flip it over. You don't want to get this wrong because you'll put the peg in the wrong way. So you've got the short side facing up. Clean this up. That is where our peg is going to go in. So this actually welds to the pedal. You put that in. Bit of weld around there. Ain't going anywhere. And while the pedal's drying, we need to weld these bolts into here, because when that's on the column, you can't get to the inside. So we'll just tack them on now, so that'll be ready. On. And then in their factory location, these are threaded holes because the bolts go into it. But we need to drill these out because we want this to slide over our post. And that slots on there. Even cut it out to sit nice. So bolt these on. That will go on there. That'll be on our column. Let's work out where this has got to go. Right, pedal is back on. We're upside down at the minute. And so we'll hook onto our pivot. You see I've cleaned it up already where it's going to sit. So we'll pull that back as far as it goes. We're locked on to the stop with that cable tie. Put some tacks on it there. Take the master cylinder back off and then weld it right up. And all on. Just want to cool it down a bit because you don't want the bushes at the ends getting too hot. But in the middle it's just a hollow tube, so it's not too bad. But certainly not going anywhere. So that is well on there. Now the last little mod we need to do to the pedal is for this little triangle here, and that is for a spring. So it hooks in and returns the pedal. And for the other end of the spring, you just need a little 3mm hole at the point here, and that will link up. And all back together. Got got the spring on the bottom there. We have a fully hydraulic clutch pedal. So now we get our banjo to go on the top there. So we've got our banjo bolt, our fitting, then another copper washer. Go on like that. And then just like the fuel lines, we make these lines ourselves. So just got an inner and outer and a little olive in there, and that will clamp onto our braided line. I think we'll make that once the engine is in so we know our lengths. But pedal wise, this can all go back in the car. And this one is our fluid feed, so that just needs to go via the rubber hose to the little reservoir, and we'll find somewhere to put that. And everything is reassembled. This is where it goes through the bulkhead and mounts to the car. Then we've got our reinforcement plate, which is also where I've mounted the ECU bracket and the fuse box. So we've got everything for the 20 valve conversion mounted here, and that all bolts together nice and securely under the dash. I think we're ready to put all this back on the car. A little bit satisfying. I think that's all. Not many holes. And now we have steering again and the hydraulic clutch. Right, let's get the brake beam on so we can connect these brake up. Nice. And another well-timed delivery. The wheel bearings have just turned up for the front hubs. So just got the circlip in, and now we just need to press these bearings down. And in. And then the circlip on the other side as well. And now we just need to press the flanges back in. They go in there. We're in. And I've given the ball joint extenders a little spray up with gloss black as well, so they all match. And they're on. This is looking super fresh. Everything in the gloss black looks amazing. All looks brand new. All new bolts, all new nylocks. It is ready to go. Underneath, this is looking amazing now. Got some bits cleaned up there. All the rear suspension is on, so I think I'll get the fuel system back in. We made all the brackets, everything's there waiting. So, we've got our swirl pot and pump already. But we've got to take that apart because we never put the filter in it. We've got the filter to go on the bottom and the O-ring that's got to sit in there. And then we can get all that bolted on for the last time. And there's the filter all on. So that just filters everything that's in the tank, stop anything going in. It's got the O-ring in the groove, got that greased up. Got all the copper washers on there, and I'll put a bit of thread sealant on there as well. Got the top one done up, had to get the whopping 32mm socket for that. Got all our under ones ready. Put this back in there. There's the pump now inside. And if you didn't see in the previous episode I did shout out to Torx and say, wouldn't it be nice if we had the correct spanners for this? And within a day, they had these in the post. So now we have the proper tools to use with the fittings. So this will finish off our fuel system nicely. Now, and we can do these up properly. And I've just realised I could have used the new adjustable spanner for the check valve as well. We go all the way up to 16, so we could have even bigger. And then onto our facet lift pump. Just got the fittings in there with a bit of PTFE tape. Got them all tightened up, so we can fit that now as well. And there it is, all up in its place. So that's nicely packaged in there. The lift pump feeds the swirl tank, and then the main pump feeds the engine at the front. Let's get some pipes on. Got the first feed pipe on. So it comes from the tank into the bottom of the lift pump, out of the lift pump, and into the top of the swirl pot. And now we need to go to the front So all that preparation of pre-drilling all the holes, getting all the riv nuts in and taping them up before we stone chipped. I've got all these ready so we can run the pipes down to the front. I just spotted that unevenness of where the white meets the black, so just tidied that up. Now we have got a much crisper line. Much better. And that is all the lines in and looking good. So happy with how these have come out. They go up through the factory hole, and we already had our clips waiting. So they go up to the engine. So they're nicely tucked up. So they're not going to get caught up in anything. They run down the factory channel. And then they loop up to the swell pot. So all we've got left to connect is this is the feed from the tank to the pump. And then the return is at the top in the middle, and that needs to come back to the tank. So we could probably put the tank in now, but we have got some news on that. So remember the other week when we sent all the bits away to get powder coated, and we thought about getting the tank powder coated and we weren't sure either way? Well, lucky we didn't, because when I started getting it cleaned out, it started to rattle inside and I couldn't work out what it was. So we took the sender out and I found this pipe inside just rattling around, which was a bit odd. But then when we looked into it a bit more, it seems it's a common problem with these. The feed for the pump is one of these here, but it picks up from right at the bottom. There's like a bit that sticks out, which they call the sump at the bottom. And they have this little pipe in there, which connects the feed down to this pump so it can suck it up like a straw. But these are rubber mounted inside, and the rubber deteriorates and these just fall off. So then what happens, you can only suck fuel from this height. So you end up running out of fuel when you're at quarter of a tank, because it just starts sucking in air. So the problem with this is these are made and put in before the tank is welded together. So you'd have to cut this all open, put all this back inside, put a rubber hose and a rubber hose in there to connect it to the sump, and then weld it all back up again, which is doable if it's the last resort, but as it happens, you can still buy brand new tanks of these. But if we look inside, you can see what I mean. So right down there, see the two pipes? That is the other end of our two pipes here. So they come up the tank and they join into this little bowl at the bottom, which is that sump in there. So it should be attached just there and attached to there via this pipe. It has a rubber bit on both ends, but when they deteriorate, that just falls out. So it can only suck fuel from at that height. And this is the size of the hole, so you've got no chance of getting anything in there. Even if you tried with some long nose pliers to do some keyhole surgery, you still can't get to that pipe at the end. But not to worry, because we have got a brand new tank from Brickworks. We have got a brand spanker. So the amount of time it would have took to repair the other one, cut it, weld it up, connect all the pipes back up, then get it powder coated, you can just get a brand new one. And then inside this one, you can see that pipe, they actually solder it in on the replacements. So that's got no chance of the rubber breaking and that falling off. That's got a slightly different little sump set up in the minute. And you can see there, they've actually added some baffles in as an improvement. But that's the little sump on the bottom. Then that pipe there is the one that fell off, but we won't have any trouble with this one. And that's the tank all ready to go on. Got the fuel sender in, and I put some foam on the top where it touches the body. As factory, it has some little rubber pads, but they're all perished and knackered. So got some stick-on foam for where it touches the bottom of the bed. I took the rubber strips off the tank straps before we sent them to powder coating. So that's just a little rubber gasket that goes on there to stop them rubbing. So I'll stick them on, and then we can get it up in the air. Now, because there is no hole in the top, I've got to connect up the breather and connect up the fuel sender. So I've just got that coming through, and there's the breather. So I'm gonna have to connect them up before we get it up in place. I'm gonna have to balance it. Then we've got the main fill point from the filler neck and the anti-glugger breather. Then we can put it up in the hole. All right, let's try and balance all this up. And And just so I know they're both on, check, check. Let's check this up. I found a difference. So on this one, the filler and the anti-glugger are right next to each other. On this one, the filler is there and the anti-glugger is there, but the pipe is waiting for it here. I might just have to put a longer pipe on that, but we can still get it up in the hole. And we are up and held in, and that does look pretty nice. So I'm glad we got a new tank because that looks so fresh. So the problem we got is just that pipe needs to go there. It's a bit strange why they're different. The filler all was fine and the clamps went on fine. So we'll see. The fuel system's all in and good. So the only other difference on the tank, which is a good one, you see the outlets are now straight fittings. Whereas on the old ones, they're like swaged copper pipes with a ridge down the middle. And what this allows us to do is remember the fittings that we put on the fuel rail with the compression joints. We can put them on this and then that'll give us AN all the way to the swell pot and pump as well. And Torx were straight on the case and got these out to us, express delivery. So they do this one for the big port, which is a 12mm to AN8, which is what we need to go to the pump. And then this is the same as the fuel rail, an 8mm to AN6. And got all the fittings that we need and all the angles to go to and from. Then we've got this little setup, which is for the turbo coolant return, that we're going to put one on the back of the turbo to reroute that. And because it's right by the exhaust, Torx do this heat resistant sleeve, which is like a fiberglass fireproof matting. So you run the hose through this and it just protects us from all the heat of the exhaust. So we've used that before and had good results. So let's get it all on. They're exactly the same as the fuel rail fittings we use, just compression fittings, just like your radiators at home. And they just nip up like so, giving us a fully AN tank. So next up, let's make the lines. Got the AN8 on the bottom. Need to cut it about, we'll cut this off here, put the end on. One done. And then for the AN6 return, we can use this new tool. It's got a snubby little end on it, which serves the purpose of, remember when I was struggling to get the little inserts in without pricking your finger? You've got to get them in there. Well, this tool goes in, separates the braid from the PTFE inner, flares it out, which allows the insert to go straight on without having to prick your finger on all that braid. And then with a little tap, it is on, down to its little recess. So we've got that on. And then because the tool has already been down the inside and took off any burrs, the fitting goes straight on. And then you can just do it up. And we'll put this in our vise and use all our tools to get that together. We've got all the gear. So I've just slid the pump out so I could get to the fittings at the top. So I wanted to blow all the air lines out just for one final fit before it goes together, make sure everything is clear. Luckily, it still slides in and out, so that'll be good for serviceability, leaving the tank in place. So let's get it all back in. And that is the fuel system all complete. Everything is on properly for the final fit. Everything's been blown out and cleaned. So it is ready for fuel. Everything's secure, everything's got its mounting point, and looks amazing. One last delivery to finish off this steering. We just got new gaiters. Managed to get the correct ones for this model. Still available, so let's get these on. A little bit of grease on the rack. Boots all on and looking fresh. So then I was able to do the track rod up properly, get the track rod ends on. Got our flipped rose joints here to go with the ball joint extenders. So they're all on, final fit. The only thing I've noticed now is we are towing in a bit and they are wound all the way in. Remember we're using two right-hand track rods because the left was unadjustable. So I think I'm just going to have to shorten the track rods a bit And then that will just give us the adjustability that we need to tow straight. As you can see, we've got plenty of threads on the end of the track rod. We only need 3 or 4 cut off. And then that will just allow this to wind in a little bit more to give us our adjustment without bottoming out. So with them shortened, we are looking much better. They're pointing straight now, and they've got a bit of adjustment on each one. So that should do the job. If we need to shorten them a bit more, we'll do that. But I'd rather shorten them twice than cut too much off the first time. Another bit to go on is the wiper linkage, and you just see the corner of this, so we'll turn it to this. Looking much better. Gloss black, match everything else. Let's get it on. And all on and looking good. You just see the motor there, so we just need to paint that. Got the heater box in and the cover. It's all in under there. There's the heater box all inside, all bolted in. Start getting bits in. The only thing I noticed, the heater matrix looked like it had a bit of a weep from the middle. So we'll get a new one of them that just slides in the side. No point putting a leaky matrix in. One of them is on the way as well. Everything's connected now, so we've got steering again. That is all good and solid. Everything's done up tight, everything's on with all its new bolts, everything's got its nylocks on for the final fits, and none of this will be coming off again. So we're almost back to being a roller. We haven't got any brakes on yet, we've got some parts on the way, and this is gonna be a pretty mega brake install. So that's gonna be in another episode. I think that is gonna have a complete episode just to itself, but we have got some cool brakes to go on at the front and the back. Different master cylinders, servos, everything is going to be changed and uprated. So that's definitely something to look forward to in a future episode. So before we wrap up, let's just take one last chance to appreciate this engine bay. It has come out so nice, I could not be happier. The fact it all looks like a factory bay with all the sealer, so you don't even know that all the holes and all the smoothings have been done. You think Volkswagen did all this. But all the hard work me and Lee have put on, and then his paint finish is on another level. Even just this front panel is spectacular. All the chassis legs, right round to the strut tops. And now we've started bolting on all our shiny bits. Even the bits that you don't see, because there's a cover that goes on there, is still up to the highest standard. Very, very happy with that. So I think that is going to wrap up this episode. We've got pretty much everything bolted on that we can at the moment. We've got all the wishbones, all the suspension, all the 4-link setup is on the back, the airbags, the beam, the links, all the Watts linkage. We've got our struts on the front, all the steering is back on and working, the fuel system is all back on, and it all went together perfectly. Because we did that mock-up, I knew everything would then just come in, bolt straight up, no hassle, no chance of scratching everything. Everything already had its place to go. So all of this has gone straight back on just in a few hours. So I didn't film too much of it going together because obviously you've seen all that before. But if you're just joining the channel now we've got all the shiny bits here. We've got a full playlist for this, so you can go back and look through every single episode of building every single bit into an almost complete car. And then we took it apart and made it all shiny. So I think I'm going to wrap this episode up here. Like I just said, we've got brakes on the way, so then it'll be a full roller. That's going to be a really exciting episode. But I think the main thing I need to turn my attention to now is get the engine stripped down, because we need to paint that and get that just as shiny as what the bay is. So that'll probably be in the next episode. I'm going to strip the engine down just to a bare block and head, clean everything up. We're going to paint everything, and because that's been mocked up as well, that'll all be ready to go straight back in the bay. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Make sure you give it a like and be sure to tune in next time, because we have still got loads of episodes still to come. All the hard work I put into the previous episodes is now showing through. So I will see you next week, and until then, make sure you have fun.